Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. My name is Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com. It's Wednesday, December the 28th. And like every Wednesday, I'm joined by Mr. Jesse Shule of jesseshule.com, one of the finest handicappers in the country today. Well, I should say in the world today, because he resides in Thailand these days. So anyway, Jesse, Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you. I'm glad to see you back.
Merry Christmas, Ross, and hopefully we're set to have a happy new year. And it's nice to see you during the holiday season.
Absolutely, buddy. The feeling is likewise. Anyway, we do have two NFL free picks for you. Speaking of the new year, on Sunday, January the 1st, 2023. So we're going to start with Jesse. He's going to take a look at the game between Carolina and Tampa Bay that has division implications in terms of who's going to win that division. And believe it or not, Carolina is still alive. And I am going to be looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens game. That will be the Sunday night nationally televised game. Another key matchup, Baltimore has clinched the playoff spot, but Pittsburgh still has a lot to play for. Not eliminated mathematically yet, but they need to win out, and they need to win. They need some help. So in any event, Jesse, before we get into those free picks, tell the folks about your website and how you've been doing of late, and anything you may have coming up that's noteworthy.
Well, I am the $2 Tuesday guy at Sports Memo. And my $2 Tuesday play goes tomorrow in the Alamo Bowl. Normally, I like to send people to my website, jesseshule.com. But when you can get it for $2 at Sports Memo, you might as well save yourself some money. That's going to be, I hope, a winner. I'm still, still number one with NFL at sportsmemo.com. Still number one with football overall at Sports Memo. Still been a good year for me. I mean, there's only a few days left. I've been pretty conservative with my play calling, and my New Year's resolution is I hope to do better with college hoops. I've been off to a poor start with college hoops, but I do have a solid history of winning with college basketball. So I'm not worried about it. I hope nobody else is either.
Well, it's a long season. We're just in the beginning infant stages. We're getting into conference play right now. So that to me, is encouraging because, these non-conference games, sometimes you could eliminate like 90% of the board because of the lopsided nature of some of the point spreads. We'll see that sort of even off now. And I don't know about you, Jesse, but I really enjoy and really ramp up when it comes to college basketball conference play.
Well, when football winds down, right, then it's time to. And football is winding down. So traditionally, I always do better with college hoops in January and February and March than I do, right in the middle of football season.
You can find Jesse's picks at jesseshule.com. That's jesseshule.com. You can find me at rbwins.com, folks. College football bowl season off to a 4-1-1 start. Lost my first game yesterday, but still a nice start going back to the end of the regular season on a 9-4-1 college football run. My NFL top plays this year, 12-6. So not bad there. College basketball since November 17th, 26-19 run, good for 58%. What am I missing? My NBA top plays since last year, 25-13. And that's good for 66%. And dime bettors have made over $11,000 with those picks. So a lot of good things going on. rbwins.com. When you buy a single game or a multi-game package from me, you get my personal guarantee. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, your account will be credited the exact amount of your purchase price, and you can use that anytime you wish. Toward any future purchases. You could also get very affordable subscription plans at my site as well. I also guarantee those. If you're not making a profit at the end of when your subscription expires, I will extend it until you do. So it doesn't get any better than that. All I'm asking from you is that initial investment and then I'll take it from there. All right, Jesse. Interested to hear your take on this one. Tampa Bay and Carolina. The Bucs are at home. They're only laying 3 in this game. And you know what? When you look at how they performed lately, the games they have won, they've been very fortunate. I mean, they came back in that New Orleans game late. They came back last week to beat what was it, Arizona, I believe, in the last minute or so. So give us your take. What do you think?
Well, it's an interesting choice of games, Ross. Last week's Bucs game was it stung for me. I was a perfect 11-0 with my 5-unit top NFL plays with for the season, and I lost with the Bucs last week in that game against Arizona. And tough one, but still 92%. So
Not
got to keep
bad.
that in mind. But Brady, it looks like the divorce has been hard on him. He hasn't played well. 7 picks and 7 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Yet the Bucs have still managed to win half of those games. As you mentioned, they've had to come from behind late, and they were quite fortunate to win those games. But still, they did get the win last week, even though I didn't get the cover. But Sam Darnold has stepped up at quarterback for Carolina. He's won 3 of his 4 starts. He's got 4 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, at first glance, it looks like a no-brainer. The Panthers are on a roll. The Bucs are playing terrible. Brady's playing terrible. However, you get into it a little further. I know my friend Sean Higgs, he has Carolina, but he bets the games early, and he got, I believe, at least 6 points, maybe even more, prior to Sunday's game. So now with that line coming down, it's only 3 points. Tampa is at home, and I'm looking at how Carolina has been winning their games. Last week against Detroit, they ran the ball for 320 yards. And then in their win against Seattle, they ran the ball for 223 yards. The win over Denver, they ran the ball for 185 yards. Well, guess what? Tampa Bay is pretty good at defending the run. They're not very good at a lot of things, but their defense has actually been good. Even during their losing streak, their defense hasn't been bad. Vita Vea didn't play against Arizona. He was very close to being able to play, so I do expect him to play this week. And when it comes to stuffing the run, Vita Vea is a key piece for them. Brady, the divorce, whatever his personal issues are. I know he lost a bunch of money with that FTX crypto thing as well. He's played as bad as we've ever seen him play, but I'm still not sure I want to go to the bank on Sam Darnold versus Tom Brady on the road. Carolina's 1-5 on the road this season. I don't love this. I don't want to be on the Bucs, but I'm telling you, it looks like the Bucs are the play at this line, and I think money is probably going to continue to come in on Carolina. And if you could get a money line play on the Bucs at 130 to 140, which I think it's not there yet, but you might get it before game time. I mean, that's the play I'd be inclined to make in this game. You're muted, Ross. Can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, you're good.
I'm sorry about that, folks. And sorry to you, Jesse. Anyway, technical difficulties, they're a way of life these days. Anyway, Jesse likes the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -3 over the Carolina Panthers. And he says that if you can get a money line of 140 or less on Tampa Bay before game time, jump all over the money line as well. And Vita Vea, he's a real run stopper. He's a guy that when they plug him in the middle of that defense, look, Tampa Bay's been one of the better defenses against the run for 3 years running now. They're just not as dominant this year as they have been in years past, but they're still top 10 in that regard. So, and Carolina's strength, like Jesse said, is running the ball, and he still likes Tom Brady over Sam Darnold in terms of the quarterback matchups, which seems like a no-brainer to a lot of people. But if you've been watching Tampa Bay lately and you've been watching Carolina lately and Sam Darnold lately, it's not as much a no-brainer as you may think. But here we got a big game with a division crown on the line. If I'm not, I don't look at the standings as much as I should because I'm just out to beat the number. But as I recall, Tampa Bay has a 1-game lead over Carolina heading into the last 2 weeks of the regular season. Carolina did win the first matchup against Tampa Bay on their home field. And if they went out, they could win the division. So, and if Tampa Bay wins, they clinch the division. So a lot on the line for both teams, but I tend to agree with Jesse. And remember what Jesse pointed out too, Carolina just 1-5 on the road this season. All right, let's get into the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game. Sunday night matchup. Right now, Baltimore is a 3-point home favorite with the total 36. That's right, extremely low total for an NFL game. But, the total's justified. If you look at how these teams have performed of late, Baltimore has gone under the total in their last 4, 23.7 points scored per game combined in those 4 contests. But keep in mind, folks, they've been without Lamar Jackson in recent games. So that's hurt their offensive production a lot. Also, Pittsburgh 3-1 to the under in their last 4 with a combined 32 points per game scored. The first meeting between these teams, Baltimore won that game at Pittsburgh 16-14. That was played just a few weeks ago, December 11th to be exact. And that game stayed under the total of 36.5. Not much different than today's total or Sunday's total, excuse me. And but both teams did surpass the 300-yard mark in total yards, and Pittsburgh hurt themselves with 3 turnovers in that contest. The last 3 meetings between these teams, all under the total. You heard a lot of unders come out of my mouth, correct, folks? But if you know anything about me, I'm a contrarian by trade. And I just think that this, if it looks too good to be true when it comes to sports betting, it normally is. And I think this is a textbook example of such. Additionally, the Pittsburgh Steelers this year have played 3-0 to the over on the road when the total is less than 40. In those 3 games, have averaged 42.3 points per game. Now, Lamar Jackson, I just mentioned him. He is listed as questionable for week 17, which is Sunday. So keep an eye on that because I would say by this number right now at 36, the sports books are not anticipating he's going to play since Baltimore already clinched the playoff spot last week. But if you want to get down early on this game, I would highly recommend you do so because you never know if they decide to pull the trigger and put Lamar Jackson in there. I look for a minimum of 2 turnovers in this game that will create short fields for the offenses, the opposing defenses forcing turnovers in the opposition's territory. And as a result, I think that we'll steal a couple touchdowns or at least 10 to 13 points in this game minimum just by turnovers alone. And also, folks, if you're thinking, well, I bet a lot of people are taking the over since it's so low, that's not true. As a matter of fact, 63% of the tickets and 67% of the money thus far by the source that I look at has been placed on the over. So a lot of money on the under, excuse me. So a lot of money on the under. I'm going, like I said, with a contrarian approach here. I'm going Pittsburgh and Baltimore over the total of 36. Jesse, any final thoughts?
I just love the contrarian approach, Ross. I think exactly the same way as you. Unders have been hitting like crazy lately. The bookmakers react, and every reaction is an overreaction, in my opinion, or certainly that's the way I tend to look at things.
Yeah, they prey on public perception. I mean, they have a number, but they also factor in what public perception is going to be. And not only the unders have been hitting lately, the unders in the NFL this year have hit at a higher pace than I could ever remember. So again, just keep that all in mind, folks. And the weather in Baltimore, I know it's been terrible there this week across the Northeast for that matter. But the weather forecast this weekend in the Northeast and in Baltimore call for temperatures to be higher than average. So again, weather conditions should improve this week in the NFL compared to some of the tundras and blizzards that we witnessed last week. So Jesse, always a pleasure, my friend. You'll be back with us on Friday. We're going to be discussing a couple college football bowl games that will take place on January 2nd. Some good matchups there. And any final thoughts, my friend?
Yeah. Bet with your head and not over it, and may all the wins be yours.
And like I always allude to, money management is key, folks. If there's one thing I have no tolerance for, is a lack of discipline with money management. And I make that very clear with all my clients. And Jesse echoes that sentiment. Easy for you to say, Jesse. Anyway, until the next time, for Jesse Shule and Ross Benjamin, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care. God bless and good luck, folks.